Hi, baby. Sartor. Okay. Hi. Oh, hi. Oh, Mia, don't record Sartor Resartus, chapter 3 of 4 for Adria because there was music playing over there. Oh, Mia.
Ow! You gotta be careful, dude. You're getting too big for that. Hi. Oh, so sorry about. I'm still getting familiar with this recording bullshit. But I'm doing it for you, Adrian. You're very special. Don't be like that, baby. And I also got to do chapter 6, I think. All right. Chapter 3, Reminiscences. To the author's private circle, the appearance of this singular work on clothes must have occasioned little less surprise than it has to the rest of the world. For ourselves, at least, few things have been more unexpected. Professor Teufelsdrock, at the period of our acquaintance with him, seemed to lead quite a still and self-contained life. A man devoted to the higher philosophies, indeed, yet more likely, if he published at all, to publish refutation of Hegel and Bardili, both of whom, strangely enough, he included under a common ban, than to descend, as he has here done, into angry, noisy forum, and with argument that cannot be but exasperate and divide. Not that we can remember was the philosophy of clothes once touched upon between us. If through the high, silent, meditative transcendentalism of our friend we detected any practical tendency whatever, it was at most political, and towards a certain perspective, and for the present quite speculative radicalism. As indeed some correspondence on his part with Herr Oken of Jena is now and then suspected, though his special contributions to the ISIS could never be more than surmised at. But at all events, nothing moral, still less anything didactico religious was looked for from him. Well, do we recollect the last words he spoke in our hearing, which indeed, with the night they were uttered in, are to be forever remembered? Lifting his huge tumbler of guck, and for a moment lowering his tobacco pipe, he stood up in full coffee house, as it were, Zergrunen guns, the largest in Weisung too, where all the virtuosity and nearly all the intellect of the place assembled of an evening. And there now, with low, soul-stirring tone, and the look truly of an angel, though whether of a white or of a black one we might be dubious, proposed this toast. Die Sache der Armen and Gottes Teufelsnamen, the cause of the poor, in heaven's name. One full shout breaking this leaden silence, then a gurgle of innumerable emptying bumpers, again followed by universal cheering, returned him loud acclaim. It was the finale of the night. Resuming their pipes in the highest enthusiasm amid volumes of tobacco smoke, triumphant, cloud-capped, and without and within, the assembly The assembly broke up, each to his thoughtful pillow. Like doch ich der Spaß and un Goggenvogel, said several, meaning thereby that, one day, he would probably be hanged for his democratic sentiments. Wo steckt Dr. Schlock? Added they, looking around. But Teufelsdrock had retired by private alleys, and the compiler of these pages beheld him no more. Guck is, unhappily, only an academical beer. In such scenes has it been our lot to live with this philosopher, such estimate to form of his purposes and powers. And yet, thou bravest Teufelsdrock, who could tell what lurked in thee? Purposes and powers. And yet, and yet, thou brave Teufelsdrock, who could tell what lurked in thee? Under those Thick locks of thine, so long and lank, overlapping roofwise, the gravest face we have ever in this world saw. There dwelt a most busy brain, and thy eyes too, deep under their shaggy brows, and looking out so still and dreamy. Have we not noticed gleams of an ethereal or else a diabolical fire, and half fancied that their stillness was but the rest of infinite motion, the sleep of a spinning top? Thy little figure, thereas in loose, ill-brushed, threadbare habiliments, thou sattest amid litter and lumber, whole days, to think and smoke tobacco, held in, held in it a mighty heart. The secrets of man's life were laid open to thee. Thou sawest into the mystery of the universe, farther than another. Thou hadst in petto thy remarkable volume on clothes. Nay, was there not in that clear, logically founded transcendentalism of thine, still more in thy meek, silent, deep-seated Sansculotism, combined with a true princely courtesy of inward nature, the visible rudiments of such speculation? But great men are too often unknown, or what is worse, misknown. Already, when we dreamed not of it, the warp of thy remarkable volume lay on the loom, and silently mysterious shuttles were putting in the woof. How the Hofrath Heuschreck is furnished biographical data in this case may be a curious question, the answer of which, however, is happily not our concern but his. To us it appeared after repeated trial that in Weisnicht, from the archives or memories of the best informed classes, no biography of Teufelsdrockh was to be gathered, not so much as a false one. He was a stranger there, wafted thither by what is called the course of circumstances, concerning whose parentage, birthplace, prospects, or pursuits curiosity had indeed made inquiries, but satisfied herself with the most indistinct replies. For himself, he was a man so still and altogether unparticipating, that to question him even afar off on such particulars was a thing of more than usual delicacy. Besides, in his sly way, he had ever some quaint turn, not without its satirical edge, wherewith to divert such intrusions, and deter you from the like. Wit spoke of him secretly, as if he were a kind of Melchizedek, without father or mother of any kind, sometimes with reference to his great historic and statistic knowledge. Baby, don't chew on your foot, okay? Don't chew on your foot. For himself, he was a man so still and altogether unparticipating that to question him, even afar off in such particulars, was a thing more than usual delicacy. Besides, in his sly way, he had ever some quick turn, not without its satirical edge, wherewith to divert such intrusions and deter you from the like. Wit spoke of him secretly as if he were a kind of Melchizedek, without father or mother of any kind, sometimes with reference to his great historic and statistic knowledge, and the vivid way he had of expressing himself, like an eyewitness of distant transactions and scenes. They called him the Ewage Judge, everlasting, or as we say, wandering Jew. To the most indeed he had become not so much a man as a thing, which thing doubtless they were accustomed to see, and with satisfaction, but no more thought of accounting for the fabrication of their daily Allgemeine Zeitung, or the domestic habits of the sun. Both were there and welcome. The world enjoyed what good it was in them, and thought no more of the matter. The man Teufelsdrockh passed and repassed in his little circle as one of those originals and nondescripts, more frequently in German universities than elsewhere, of whom, though you see them alive and feel certain enough that they must have a history, no history seems to be discoverable, or only such as men give of mountain rocks and antediluvian ruins. That they have been created by unknown agencies, are in a state of gradual decay, and for the present reflect light and resist pressure. That is, are visible and tangible objects in this phantasm world where so much other mystery is. It was to be remarked that though, by title and diploma, Professor der alle Wissenschaft, or as we should say in English, Professor of Things in General, he had never delivered any course, perhaps never been incited thereto by any public furtherance or requisition. To all appearance, the enlightened government of Weisnicht, in founding their new university, imagined they had done enough. If in times like ours the half-official program expressed it, when all things are rapidly or slowly resolving themselves into chaos, a professorship of this kind had been established, whereby, as occasion called, the task of bodying somewhat forth again from such chaos might be even slightly facilitated. The actual lectures should be held and public classes for the science of things in general. They doubtless considered premature, on which ground, too, they had only established the professorship, nowise endowed it, so that Teufelsdrockh, recommended by the highest names, had been promoted thereby to a name merely. Great, great among the more enlightened classes was the admiration of this new professorship. How an enlightened government had seen in the want of age, Zeitbedürfnis, how at length, instead of denial and destruction, we were to have science of affirmation and reconstruction, and Germany and Weissenbach were where they should be, in the vanguard of the world. Considerable also was the wonder at the new professor, dropped opportunely enough into the nascent university, so able to lecture should occasion call, so ready to hold so ready to hold his peace for indefinite periods, should an enlightened damn should an enlightened government consider that occasion did not call. But such admiration and such wonder, being followed by no act to keep them living, could last only 9 days, and long before our visit to that scene had quite died away. The more cunning heads thought it was all an expiring clutch at popularity on the part of the minister, whose domestic embarrassments, court intrigues, old age, and dropsy soon afterwards finally drove from the hill. As for Teufelsdrockh, except by his nightly appearances at the Grünguns, Weissenbach saw little of him, felt little of him. Here, over his tumbler of gut-guck, he sat reading journals, sometimes contemplatively looking into the clouds of his tobacco pipe, without other visible employment. Always, from his mild ways, an agreeable phenomenon there, more especially when he opened his lips for speech, on which occasions the whole coffee-house would hush itself into silence, and as if sure to hear something noteworthy. Nay, perhaps to hear a whole series and river of the most memorable utterances, such as, when once thawed, he would for hours indulge in, with fit audience, and the more memorable as issuing from a head apparently not more interested in them, not more conscious of them, than is the sculptured stone head of some public fountain, which through its breast mouth tube emits water to the worthy and the unworthy, careless whether it be for cooking victuals or quenching conflagrations. Indeed, maintains the same earnest, assiduous look, whether any water be flowing or not. To the editor of these sheets, as to young enthusiastic Englishmen, however unworthy, Teufelsdrockh opened himself perhaps more than to most. Pity only that we could not then have guessed his importance and scrutinized him with due power of vision. We enjoyed, what not 3 men Weissenbach could boast of, a certain degree of access to the professor's private domicile. It was on the attic floor of the highest house in the Wagners, and might truly be called the pinnacle of Weissenbach, for it rose sheer up above the contiguous roofs, themselves rising from elevated ground. Moreover, with its windows, it looked towards all 4 ort, or as the Scotch say, and we ought to say, erts. The sitting room itself commanded 3. Another came into view in the Schlafgemach bedroom at the opposite end, to say nothing of the kitchen, which offered 2, as it were, duplicates, showing nothing new. So that it was in fact the speculum or watchtower of Teufelsdrockh, wherefrom, sitting at ease, he might see the whole life circulation of that considerable city, the streets and lanes of which, with all their doing and driving, Thun and Treiben, were for the most part visible there. I looked down into all that wasp nest or beehive, we have heard him say, and witnessed their wax laying and honey making, and poison brewing and choking by sulphur. From the palace esplanade, where music plays while Serene Highness is pleased to eat his victuals, down to the low lane, where in her doorsill the aged widow, knitting for thin livelihood, sits to feel the afternoon sun, I see it all. For except Schlosskerk, weathercock, no biped stands so high. Couriers arrive bestrapped and bebooted, wearing joy and sorrow backed up in pouches of leather. There, top laden, with 4 swift horses, rolls in the country baron and his household. Here on timber leg, the iron soldier hops painfully along, begging alms. 1,000 carriages and wains, cars, come tumbling in with food, the young rusticity, and other raw produce, inanimate or animate, and go tumbling out again with produce manufactured. That living flood pouring through these streets, of all qualities and ages, knowest thou whence it is coming, whither it is going. Aus der Ewig zu der Ewig hin, from eternity onwards to eternity. These are apparitions. What else? Are they not souls rendered visible, and bodies that took shape and will lose it, melting into air? Their solid pavement is a picture of the sense. They walk on the bosom of nothing. Blank time is behind them and before them. Or fanciest thou, the red and yellow clothes screen yonder, with spurs on its heels and feathers in its crowns, is but of today without a yesterday or a tomorrow, and had not rather its ancestor alive when Hengst and Horsa overran thy island? Friend, thou seest here a living link, the tissue of history, which enweaves all being. Watch well, or it will pass by thee, and seen no more. Ach, mein Lieber, said he once at midnight, when we had returned from the coffee house in rather earnest talk. It is a true sublimity to dwell here. These fringes of lamplight, struggling up through the smoke in thousandfold exhalation, some fathoms into the ancient reign of night, would think Buddhists of them. And as he leads his hunting dogs over the zenith in their leash of sidereal fire, that stifled hum of midnight, when traffic has lain down to rest, and the chariot wheels of vanity, still rolling here and there through distant streets, are bearing her to halls roofed in, and lighted to the dew pitchfork. And only vice and misery to prowl or to moan like night birds are abroad. That hum, I say, like the stertorous and quite slumber of sick life, is heard in heaven. I gotta get a drink. Oh. Pluto. Ah, you wanna go outside, Bobby? Okay, we're gonna go take your shirt outside. We're gonna go outside. Yeah.
There's that boy's collar. There's that boy's collar. Yeah, there it is. There it is. There it is. He gets to go outside and run around as much as he wants. There it goes. There it goes. There it goes. I'll be honest. Poor baby hates to go out alone. Okay. Where were we? That stifled hum of midnight, when traffic has laid down to rest and the chariot wheels of vanity, still rolling here and there through distant streets, are bearing her to halls roofed in, and lighted to the dew pitch for her, and only vice and misery to prowl or to moan like night birds are abroad. That hum, I say, like the stertorous and quiet slumber of sick life, is heard in heaven. Oh, under that hideous coverlet of vapors and putrefacients and unimaginable gases, what a fermenting vat lay simmering and hid. He's barking at me from outside. Oh, maybe a little quieter. The joyful and the sorrowful are there. Men are dying there. Men are being born. Men are praying. On the other side of brick partition, men are cursing, and around them all is vast void night. The proud grandee still lingers in his perfumed saloons, or reposes within damask curtains. Wretchedness cowers into buckle beds, or gosh, I gotta go again. I'm so sorry. All right. Pluto, did you potty? Did you potty, boy? Oh, goodness. No, that over. Don't worry. Well, I'm not gonna leave you out there forever, honey. I'm not gonna leave you out there forever. Here you go. I'm not gonna leave you out there forever. He's a good boy. Yes, he's so good. Yes. He's so good. Okay, okay.
Sorry, y'all. Adrian? Okay. Oh, I know. How boring, Pluto. This is important, I promise. The proud grandee still lingers in his perfumed saloons, or reposes with damask curtains. Wretchedness cowers into buckled beds, or shivers hunger-stricken into its lair of straws. In obscure cellars, Rogue et Noir languidly emits its voice of destiny to haggard, hungry villains, while councillors of state sit plotting and playing with their high chess game, whereof the pawns are men. The lover whispers his mistress that the coach is ready, and she, full of hope and fear, glides down to fly with him over the borders. The thief, still more silently, sits to his picklocks and crowbars, or lurks in wait till the watchmen first snore in their boxes. Gay mansions, with supper rooms and dancing rooms, are full of light and music and high-swelling hearts. But in the condemned cells, the pulse of life beats tremulous and faint, and bloodshot eyes look through the darkness which is around and within for the light of a stern last morning. 6 men are to be hanged on the morrow. Comes no hammering from the Rabenstein? Their gallows must even now be a building. Upwards of 500,000 two-legged animals without feathers lie round us in horizontal position, their heads all in nightcaps and full of the foolishest dreams. Riot cries aloud and staggers and swaggers in his rank dens of shame, and the mother with streaming hair kneels over her pallid dying infant, whose cracked lips only her tears now moisten. All these, heaped and huddled together, with nothing but a little carpentry and masonry between them, crammed in like salted fish in their barrel, or weltering, shall I say, like an Egyptian pitcher of tamed vipers, each struggling to get its head above the others. Such work goes on under that smoke counterplane. But I, mine further, sit above it all. I am alone with the stars. And I'm going to pause that because I got a headache. But that's part one, probably about the same part one. But whatever. There's no music in this one. All right. Love you guys.